Good evening, everybody. This is Capn Tinsley with the Salty Podcast, and this is episode number 27. And I am very excited about tonight's guest. Let's just start with this. If you are a new sailor, or if you have a spouse or a boyfriend or girlfriend that is a new sailor and you would like them to sail with you, I highly recommend sailing lessons, and I recommend ASA sailing lessons. And I'm going to bring out the Emerald Coast Sailing School owners, and they are Salty Abandon approved. I've attended their school, so I'm going to bring them out now. And this is Peggy and Rick Van Sleen of the Emerald Coast Sailing School. Welcome, you guys.
Thank you.
I appreciate you coming on the Salty Podcast and talking about your school. And you guys are located in Pensacola Beach at Little Sabine Bay, right?
Yes. That's right.
And let's start off with where you came from and why you chose Pensacola Beach.
Okay.
I love that story.
It's a funny story. It could take up the whole show.
Yeah, we came down here from outside D.C., Northern Virginia. And we were both in IT, and when Peg got pregnant with our son, it turned out that she didn't want to go back to work. We both
love that baby.
We were both working. She didn't want to go back to work.
And I was old, 35, and but also that same year, 9/11 had happened, and then in DC there was a sniper attacks, and then there was biological warfare threats. And we were like, what are we doing? Do we want to raise a baby here?
It was pretty crazy.
And Rick said to me, I was home in my pajamas and still playing, with the baby on the floor. And Rick comes in and goes, I don't want to work for a living anymore either. And I was like, well, what do you want to do? And he goes, let's do that sailing thing now. Yeah. And so 6 weeks later, we had sold everything and moved down here and started getting it all together like on a dime. Off we went.
We moved pretty quick once we decided to go.
Bought the house over the phone, which you would love. You would love us as customers.
I've done that many times with people.
We're big over the phone. House, buy, sell.
Yeah. When it's real crazy and people are missing out on properties, they will do that. And it happened in New Orleans after Katrina when people were trying to find. They would just buy. I'll take it.
Yeah. Whatever you got.
Not even seeing pictures. So what was your sailing experience?
That's a good question too.
So I had small.
You said, we're going to do this sailing thing. And what was the sailing thing that you wanted to do?
Well, I learned to sail in San Diego when I was in the Navy. And I learned the Navy has a small sailing facility out on Coronado Island. And I learned on small day sailors out there. And then after that, every chance I got in the Navy, I would just rent boats, maybe 22-foot Catalina, something like that. And eventually we started chartering on the Chesapeake Bay.
Yeah. And one of our first dates, I said to him, I was like, well, I know how to sail. He goes, well, let's go. So we go. Yeah. But everything I'd had didn't have an engine. And my family boat, I used to jump in the water and walk it out of the slip. And then and we would walk it back in. It was a 26-foot a day. So we start leaving this charter with a diesel engine in it. And Rick goes, let the line go. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? So I threw the line and immediately got sucked in the prop. So he's still married. Oh, no. So, it's all good. We still got married after that.
You still got me. So you said we're going to do this sailing thing. What was that? Yeah.
So we thought we were going to retire and have a sailboat under a bar on the James River. That was our retirement plan. And then Vic's like, I don't want to wait that long. And I was like, well, what do you want to do? And he goes, well, I want to have a sailing school. So he went to work. And back at this time, you could pull satellite images down. And since I'm a software kind of girl, while the baby slept, I pulled satellite images down. And I said, what about this area? And Vic goes, well, I like that area. And Vic had been stationed in Pensacola. And I was like, I had never been here. So pretty much sight unseen, just based on how the wind and how the water's laid out here, I thought it'd be a good place for school. And good
so
schools.
Pensacola Bay, And that whole, so you saw Pensacola Bay, and why did you think Pensacola Bay would be good?
Well, soft ground, right?
Okay.
Clear, good water, but
Mhm.
predominantly you have a south wind or a north wind, and the land is east-west, which means you can sail east and west much, almost all the time.
Smart.
So you can
Smart.
teach a lot. And we didn't have to motor out like the poor people in Clearwater. They got to motor out 2 hours, 3 hours before they can sail.
Yeah.
And we don't have to do that. We can sail as soon as we get out of the channel, right? We can sail.
Yeah.
So it was good setup.
Geographically, it's terrific, and it's not far from the Gulf, and
Yeah.
it's really been a terrific place to sail. Much better than we could have ever thought.
We couldn't believe it. We got here
Yeah.
from the DC area, and the first time we started to sail, there was no one on the water. And we're like,
Yeah.
did we make a mistake? And then we sailed a couple of days and we went, no, people
Yeah.
just don't know yet, you know?
Yeah. Plus the ICW run, the Intercoastal Waterway runs right through here. So
Right. And
It-
also the Fort McRae, Redfish Point, that whole area.
Beautiful. It's
right.
beautiful. And the hospitals were good. This little airport is excellent. The cost of living was low in 2003. And so like it all kind of coming from DC, it was like, this is fantastic.
And above all, the public schools were good here.
Yeah, public schools in this little corner are very good.
Yeah.
So you were thinking, you thought people from up north might come down. I mean, also people from here, but also were you thinking people would come down and make it like a destination, learn to sail?
The first 7 to 10 years, we had almost as many international students as we had domestic. We had people from all over.
How did you find those?
Well,
they found us.
They found us. We had a good website, but we were also on the cover of a few magazines and things like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So it worked out really well. We were like the centerfold for a couple.
We were on Cruising World and Sail and Sailing magazines.
Mm-hmm.
So who is Lily Van Sleen?
That's my daughter. Do you see her somewhere? Oh, that's our baby
beautiful
girl.
Pensacola. Is she still in Pensacola?
She's
now in Tallahassee, Florida State.
Yeah, she's an FSU.
Okay. Hey, Lily. Thanks for commenting. We appreciate it.
She helped us move Moon Dance, the boat we have now, from Daytona all the way through the Keys and across the Gulf into here during June and July, where it's notorious, as you know, stormy weather out in the Gulf.
Moon Dance. She says, "Hey, Mom and Dad."
Hey, baby girl.
Was that boat initially in Key West?
No.
Okay.
It wasn't named Moon Dance when we bought it, which I know.
Okay.
I know we went out on a limb there,
Yeah, she was Nirvana, but now she's Moon Dance.
Yeah, but she was in Daytona.
Okay. All right. So so you introduced a lot of people to the Gulf that perhaps like people what can they get? Like if somebody is learning to sail, I don't know which classes are offered, ASA 101, 103, or all of them. What you're offered like in the in Michigan or something, or Lake Michigan or something? What kind of classes are offered up there that what are offered here that aren't offered up there, I guess is I wanted to say.
The ASAs are great about trying to offer all their classes at as many schools as possible. And you have to qualify for each class in order to offer it. So we qualified for everything. I can't think of one we can't teach. Right. But we find predominantly most people desperately need 101, 103, 104, and 105. And we used to teach the catamaran class when we had catamarans. But if you sail on monohull enough, you can cross over to catamaran much easier. And so we encourage people to continue to sail on monohull as long as possible.
Is that what? I'm not familiar with 105. What is that?
I think you must have that. That's the coastal navigation. That's the paper charts and all that.
I signed up for it and I never did it.
Well, your Coast Guard class would have been a lot easier if you had done the coastal navigation class.
I think the plotting in the 105 is harder than the plotting in the Coast Guard.
Oh, way harder than the Coast Guard.
Well, it did I mean, we had it in the 103 and 104, right? I mean, it was kind of covered in those. I mean, it was when it.
The 105 is really good. That's really
okay.
Good. Yeah.
All right. Well,
it's kind of fun.
Okay. So your website talks about that you offer a unique live aboard learning experience at your school. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, everybody, all of our students live aboard the boat, and we think that's good experience for them to spend as much time as they can while they're here on a sailboat. And living aboard, you learn a ton of things.
and we come in and out of the marina each day, except for maybe one, and maybe twice a day. But we do that on purpose because we only have you for 7 or 8 days, and you got to see a bunch of different conditions to come in and out of the slip. Right. So we think it's dramatically important to handle that tight marina, the small channel, wind and under and over the bridge and near the bridge, and we try to do that as much as possible. We think you can learn on your own out in the Gulf of Mexico how to get that extra extra knot out of your sails. But where you need us is to teach you how to handle that boat inland, inshore.
That's right. Yes, that's the most stressful time for people, especially new people.
Scares more people, yeah.
And as it should. Like that's where all the money is, right? You hit something there, that's $1 million right there.
Right. Yeah. So, and I took, just so I don't know if viewers know, I took 101 and 103 with another school. And then I found my way to you guys for 104. And the instructor was Captain Ralph. He was on one of my first Salty podcasts. But and he was also my captain school instructor for 2 classes because I now have the master's and the sailboat endorsement. But yes, I lived aboard on your Beneteau. Do you still have the Beneteau?
Well, that probably was a couple of hurricanes ago. We've gone through some fleets, Good insurance.
That was a good experience on that boat.
Our Beneteaus are good teaching vessels. Those are good boats.
Yes. And he taught me how to, exactly what you're talking about. He taught me to come in and out. I mean, it was very specific. And then we went over to Palafox and I overnighted and coming in and out of there. And I was nervous. I was so nervous, but I didn't hit anything. So,
but that's everything. If you want to sail, you don't really hang out in big marinas. You try to go to cute little quaint places. Maybe there's mooring balls, but there's still a crowd. Well, that's where you need to be a good vessel manager because you want to get in and go see stuff. And if you're not confident enough to put that boat away or grab the mooring ball, then you're just not going to get in there. You're just not going to go.
Right. Yeah. And a lot of practice that for me, a lot of practice coming on different marinas has really made me pretty fearless, and there's always a crowd watching and you got to get past that.
That's right.
There's always people critiquing.
Everybody stops what they're doing to watch somebody come in.
They're watching while they're eating.
That's right.
We've had a lot of the slow claps once we get settled in. They're like, "Holy cow! How did you do that?"
Yeah.
And we had business cards.
Yeah. And it's always a show when the couples are fighting because sometimes the couples it gets a little stressful. If they're not used to it, it can be stressful and people will argue and everything. And Scott and I have worked through those things. And
we have to pretty much.
Yeah, hand signals are key.
Yeah.
We did have one time where at the last minute the current was crazy in Miami and we had to quick change how we were going to put that boat in the slip. Yeah. And Lily and I had all the lines set for a certain side. And we literally did that crab walk where we grabbed the lines and crabbed underneath that mat, underneath the boom and ran over there and retied. And people were like, "Wow, that's pretty good." Skipper said, "No, we're doing this." And then the crew just ran,
So that's a really good selling point for your school is really working on coming in and out of the dock because that is the most stressful part.
Mm-hmm. You can take a lot of time and go 3 knots, right? And then learn how to go 5 or 6 without me being there.
Right. And you don't have anything to hit. You got all the time in the world to get used to adjusting the sails.
You can do those fair leads, play with that traveler, all you want without us, right?
Right.
But you need us to teach you how to.
I think that's really smart. I like it. So if anybody's listening, you need to go to their school. Okay. So let's see. I came up with some questions. I don't know if what sets your ASA certified courses apart from other sailing schools? I guess say USA or whatever. What's the other one?
U.S. Sailing.
U.S. Sailing.
Okay.
There's also RYA.
U.S. Sailing has always been more geared toward racing, and the ASA has always been more geared toward education. So
I didn't know
one
that.
of the reasons that we're education or what we're ASA.
The books are better too, and
yeah, they just redid all the books over the last 10 years, I guess. The ASA redid all the textbooks, and they're excellent. I mean, if you're not going to take a class, if you're interested in sailing, consider looking at, getting one of the textbooks.
We like their books. We liked what their priorities were. So when we were trying to pick an association to lean into, that one just felt a lot more at home for us to help people go sailing comfortably and confidently. It was a good program. But
what makes us different from other ASA schools is that we've always focused on private classes, whereas you might have 4 to 6 students in a class in another school. In our school, it's just going to be you and people and we over the years we've really focused on couples. We've taught a lot of couples to sail.
We've taught like 2 couples often, where one of each of them wants to certify, and the other 2 just want to enjoy the class. That's fine by us. That's still 2 students, even if there's 4 people on board, because we feel like everybody who's on board will learn a few things, like how to hold the helm while somebody's adjusting the line, or they'll know not to talk to you while you're trying to figure out how to get in the slip, or they'll hold the helm while you can run down. When you can run downstairs and take a moment for yourself. Yeah. And they learn how to pack when they're
no chatter in the ear. That's what I say.
I cannot tell you what I want in my sandwich right now. I am trying to grab this mooring ball. But but that, and they know how to pack. They know what to expect. So when they leave us and go spend 10 grand on a vacation somewhere, like, they're so much better prepared. Their luggage is better.
Oh, look, here's one of my real estate clients and friends. I'm listening, and I want to learn to sail. When I get a job, I'll call these guys and learn from them. Tim McNay. He put Tom McNay. He lives in Innerarity Point.
Oh, that's right around the corner.
I just did a interview with him on my Getting Beachy podcast, my real estate podcast, and he's here now. So he's looking for a job, but that'll be a good customer for you. He's a lot of fun.
Good.
He found a great place to live. That's a fun spot.
Yes. He has a house right there on Perdido Bay. He's got a dock. He may have to clear out he might have to do some digging in the middle of the night if he can't get a permit, but
we don't know anything about that.
But he lives on Perdido Bay. I would like to say to anybody, I learned by myself. I took all my classes as a single person because I knew that I wanted to do this, and I didn't want to have to rely on people feeling like going or can't get off of work or not in the mood. I wanted to be able to do and pull this boat out and pull the sails out all myself. So I learned, and I quickly told the instructors to step aside.
Yeah,
show me how to do this.
That's probably
and
how
I
you
think
found
that's
us.
Smart.
That's probably how you found us, because I'm a big proponent that if you're going to sail without competent crew, you better take those classes by yourself, because you don't want to be able to have to hand off things to people just because they're on board. You need to be able to do that all plan. Sailing on your own is all about planning ahead, right? It's like, I can't just do this move right now. I have to actually do these 3 moves. And then
Yes. And whenever I'm planning to leave the dock, especially if the wind's blowing, I'm thinking it through all the way through. Right. And I don't leave until I have the plan down.
That's right. And when we come back in, before we hit the channel, we talk about, hey, how is the wind going to be on that slip? Which lines you want to get first? Plan that for your crew.
Right, because it's always different when you come in or out. I mean, the current's different, the wind's different.
And if you don't plan it, you might get lucky, but sooner or later you're going to get hammered.
Yeah, sooner or later you're going to bump something.
Yeah. You have to be ready for that. But so do you ever find yourself having to be like a couples counselor
we, we,
Peggy's smiling.
do somewhat. You know, we haven't had too much bad luck with that.
We have
Yeah.
had people tell us later, though, that, hey, that was really great because you taught us how to communicate effectively, not just on the boat.
Absolutely. I bet.
Well, yeah, it's been fun. It's been interesting. Sometimes
Do you go out together with
The
them?
two of us?
If it's a couple, do you go out together with them?
Sometimes we do.
Sometimes if I need support, I get Peggy to come.
Yeah, but I talk a lot, so I find like it's better if I try not to go because then Rick has time to teach. Because like I talk all over him by accident.
Oh, okay.
I don't mean to, but he's a better teacher. So
So Rick, if somebody's like difficult and not wanting to take direction, is that when you might ask for backup? Is that a thing where that happens?
It doesn't really happen that often, but you know, sometimes you have to have a side conversation.
Sometimes
just make sure that everybody understands what's going on and who's in charge, and we're all on the same page. It has to be that way on the boat. You know that.
You have to say, bro, I'm a captain, bro.
But it doesn't always work out. I mean, I've got a list of my least favorite students, which is about that.
Let's hear them. Let's bring it out.
Yeah. That would be good.
So you see the population grow on this website.
Yeah.
No, but
we got a lot of people watching right now. By the way, I want to say this. I'm trying to get my subscribers up. So if you're watching either now or in the replay, whatever, I'm on Facebook, YouTube, X, Rumble, and I do put clips on TikTok, and I am trying to increase my subscribers and followers. So whatever of those you are on, please go and subscribe or follow, and I would really personally appreciate it. So thank you. Just wanted to put that out there. Anyway, continue, Rick or Peggy.
The one thing I wanted to say is like,
That's one thing about this business is that sailing, it seems to attract the nicest people.
Oh, it does.
So I've had so few problems over the years with people. It's been really amazing.
Usually it's been a long dream.
Yeah. And we're in our 21st year of doing this.
Yeah. The funny part is like sometimes we get people who've done so little working with a device, like they don't change the oil, they don't mow their lawn. They're just not mechanical. So usually when Rick has me come on, it's because he's demonstrated something. And while he works with one person, I'm going to go over and make sure they understand how the winch works mechanically. And so that sometimes needs much more focus while he's working with somebody at the helm. And typically that's when it's more that it needs the two of us together, as when it's like just no familiarity with working with a mechanical device. And that's become a big deal.
It does say that on your somewhere in your description that you offer you're very compassionate instructors. So that's definitely an example of that.
It's supposed to be fun, right? I mean, you're not there because you have to be. You've chosen to be there. So it's very important to make it fun and something everybody can do and get comfortable on board, not be scared. And, all that is really important because you've chosen it. Yeah.
Do you have a lot of students that have gone on, like me, to really take it further?
You're like the gold star.
You're one of our success stories.
You're a big one. But yeah,
we do. And that's
thank you for saying that.
That's really makes you feel good. It just, some people come and they take, for example, the 101, which is basic keelboat, and the 103, which is basic coastal cruising, or they just take the 101 and then we never hear from them again.
Or we hear from them that they did that because they were going with somebody else who sails and already has their certificate. So they're trying to get familiar and off they go.
Some people I never know if they continued sailing or not.
And we get
other people.
We've had students who graduated and loved it so much they bought a boat and put it in service with us. Right. So all right. So a lot of our vessels were owned by students,
Right.
We were in the bareboat charter business. We're not anymore, but
it made all our hair go gray. So
all right. So let's see. What are some of the most important skills students will learn in your courses? We kind of covered some of that, but is there anything we missed?
Well, we basically get two types of students. Usually it's somebody that either wants to go bareboat charter in the islands,
Like right
Okay.
now.
or go to the BVI, something like that. Or we get somebody that wants to own a boat.
And they're like on their retirement plan. They're like 3 or 5 years out.
Those are the
Yeah.
are the two serious students that we get. But
I think what's surprising to a lot of people is they think it's not difficult, or it's not a challenge, or like I try to tell them they need to read the books, and they need to we break the day into 2 pieces because it can be overwhelming. It's heat, wind, a lot of physics, a lot of thinking through, and they need that hour break at lunch. And they're like, no, I can work this through in 5 days or less. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to plan you for 8. And if you don't need all 8, that's fine. I won't charge you, but we're going to plan you for 8.
So that's if they do all 3, right? All 3 classes.
Yeah. And we've rarely had anybody ever get here and they'll go, oh, you're right. I do need all 7 days. I do need all 8 days. It's a really rare thing.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
We don't encourage that.
We don't think
to do all 3 at once.
Yeah.
Well,
I did 101 and 103
and that was a good way to do it.
That's what we think.
Then,
we think that's a good pair, the 101, 103.
Yeah.
And then I waited too long to not even sail. I didn't have a boat. And so then I was like, I don't remember anything. But I went down to Key Lime Sailing Club, and you might offer this. I wanted to go to the Keys, basically.
Yeah.
And have you heard of the Key Lime Sailing Club? And did a refresher course. And they have like a whole fleet of 22s. I'm not advertising for them or anything, but so I was like, okay, I'm going to go down there and take the refresher course. And then if I like it, which I knew I would, then I'll continue. So I did, of course, but it had been 2 or 3 years. I can't remember. And then I came back and signed up with you guys for 104. And then I ended up buying Ralph's wife's boat. And it just, I haven't stopped since. So, but it is important to use the skills.
It is.
You learn them.
We think it's important, even if they want to take all 3 in a quick hit here, we try to make them have a day off in the middle. Because you need that 101, 103. That all makes sense. But switching gears for the 104, you need time to regenerate and read books and then come back again, because
and you're doing chart plotting. I mean, that's a lot.
There's a lot of responsibility stuff talked about in the 104.
There's a mechanics of the boat,
managing the boat systems,
managing the people on board, all of that.
It's a long way to go from learning how to basic sailing to chartering a boat somewhere. That's a pretty big step.
Yes, just stepping on a boat to then chartering in 7 days is not so, especially if you have got 8 people.
That's a lot. We have a question. We have a question here. Bill Abel says, how much more do you teach in the more advanced courses like offshore passage making from the coastal cruising class 106 and 108 versus 103?
We don't teach 108.
We don't offer offshore passage making.
We do 106. But we feel like you need time after 104. You need to sail a bunch before you come back and do the 106. Otherwise, you're not going to get enough out of it.
So you do 106?
We do, but it's a heavy interview process to take our 106.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to approve them. And just 104 is bareboat cruising. That's what 104 is. So he may have been referring rather than 103 to 104. Or maybe, I don't know. Thank you, Bill, for your question. Does that answer your question?
We like people when they're ready to do more night sailing and longer sails. We like them to get on other people's boats and crew. We feel like that is, and then go. Like we feel like there's enough things out of PYC, Pensacola Yacht Club and all that. People dying for people to jump on their boats.
Sure.
If you want to be good at night, if you want to be good at night, you need to see conditions a lot, that's why we like people to sail a bunch before they come back to take the 106, because I can only recreate those conditions for 2 days, but you need a lot.
What is 106?
It's advanced coastal cruising.
It's like it's night sailing, and it's reading more of the aids to navigation, and
Yeah.
a lot. The reason why I'm saying that like that is because we can teach you the academics and do an example, but all those miles out on big water, that's, you know what I mean? I can't recreate all that in 2 days. And that's why when you come for the 106, if you can come to the table and ask questions, hey, I experienced this, or I did this, or that happened, then they can get a lot more out of the class than if I just teach based on the textbook. You know,
I tell you, the first time when 2016, Bill says yes. Okay, you did answer his question.
yes.
Thank you, Bill. So the first time I took the Island Packet 27 to the Keys and back,
Yes. True.
that was like a huge leap in understanding how my boat worked, like the sails, on how to. There was so much practice on adjusting the sails, trimming the sails, and just so much. And I just felt like I took this. The experience is everything. You know, it doesn't make sense until you're out there.
Right. And how important a good autopilot is, right?
Yeah. Good autopilot is everything.
Yeah.
Because most of that was by myself. Like 99.5% was by myself.
You can't
the only
eat.
thing.
You can't eat or go to the bathroom without an autopilot, you know?
Yeah. It's important, even just to adjust the traveler, or, to use the autopilot. You got to have autopilot if you're going to be single handing.
Yeah. Even
go ahead.
Even if you're not, it's hard to sit there and hand steer for days.
Oh, it's I have had it break, and it's like, oh.
Yes. Yeah. We have to.
What are the benefits of learning to sail in diverse waters around Pensacola?
This again, the reason why we chose this location, right, is because you're sailing in like a tight, cute little marina, which would normally be like a destination marina. Like you go from a big marina to ours. And then we have that tight little channel, and then you progressively sail bigger and bigger water around us instead of just all one size. And we have different tides and currents, and our aids to navigation are so interesting because we have the ICW and we have junctions, and
got a ship channel here.
We got ranges. It's kind of cool. We got a lighthouse to practice on. It's pretty cool.
And the bay is terrific. I guess you're aware that American Magic.
Yeah, American Magic made this their home.
Is putting a permanent base here.
They rebuilding the port at Pensacola.
America's Cup.
No, I didn't know that.
Did you know they've been here the last few years?
We've been their winter home
on the bay. Yeah.
And then now, so they're just like, they like it so much, they're going to be here year round. And that's New York. That's New York Yacht Club's boat, And they're
no, I don't know. I'm kind of ignorant.
It's a fun one to know.
Yeah. They go across the bay pretty fast.
When you see a black catamaran up on foils making a quick tap,
wow, I've not seen that up close. No.
they just circle around us. They fly. They're really good.
Yeah. So I remember Ralph talking about that, like understanding the signs the markers for the ICW, the channel, the channel for the marina, understanding that. I can still remember how to get, I don't know if it's changed, but you head towards this and then you head towards that. And then how to get in and out of there.
The restaurant, the toll booth.
That's a little local knowledge there.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you got the shipping channel in the middle of the bay. You have Pensacola Pass. You have the little channel that goes into Big Lagoon, and where you can anchor out there. There's so much there that people can practice.
And that feel, even when we're crossing the pass, like going east and west, that feel, those big swells coming in the pass, I think that really tells people like, oh, that's why we felt that way back there, because look at those big swells coming in. And I think it's really good waters to learn on.
Yeah, there's a little bit of everything, because I don't know what they have, what kind of markers they have, like in Lake Michigan, but I have no idea.
That's some good sailing up there. That's hard.
That's like being at sea. It's fresh water.
And that rocky terrain and trees, and
the Great Lakes are amazing.
It's
okay. I have no experience.
it's probably easier to
Oh,
learn
yeah.
with us.
Lily said,
than
yes,
go up
don't
there.
forget about Deer Point. Yeah.
Deer
I always
Point.
kind of lump it all into Fort McRae.
That's right. Deer Point.
Right.
What is is that the area that's that little hurricane hole or whatever that all the sailboats go in? Is that considered Deer Point, or is it right outside there?
No, Deer Point comes off of Gulf Breeze, and there's an ICW marker right there, 144, and there's a shoal that comes off Deer Point.
It's just so shallow.
Our son,
Oh yeah, I got
walked
stuck
out
there.
to that marker.
Yeah,
So it's real shallow.
Yeah,
that's Deer Point.
Yeah, you never come across there and say
Florida is
that. Yeah,
we never can. No.
Never do it on purpose anyway.
No,
right.
you'd find out in a hurry about your mistake. You'd be like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was in the Catalina 25, and I just had to put the swing keel up, and I floated right out. I couldn't do that in my boat now, but what advice would you give to someone considering taking up sailing for the first time?
People call now and then and say, hey, can you take us out for a couple hours lesson? And I go, you know what's really fun if it's a nice day? A couple hours, get your credit card out and get on that Hobie out at Key Sailing or at Juana's, go fool around there, because that's a great bang for your buck to see if you even kind of like it or have a feel for it. Play with that a little bit.
Yeah, we do Capn charters too.
And then come do a Captain charter.
That'll give you a pretty good idea if you even like it or not.
Yeah, we love that. So we don't do those 2-hour sunset things very often. We're really 6 to 8 hours. So you come in, bring your lunch and all that, and
they're private.
We don't put anybody else on but you and who you bring with you, and that way you can ask questions that you really want to know, and because nobody who's going to hear but you and your friends, and you can take the helm. It's perfectly fine with us. We feel like that's a very.
But otherwise, if you live close to water, yacht clubs, talk to your local yacht club.
There's one out in Fort Walton Beach that's really active.
Yeah,
they have like Sunday regattas and stuff like that. But if you come down for a vacation, you've only got a few hours. Right. I mean,
that's not your thing.
Well,
there's plenty of others that do that. So
I don't really think you get enough out of that 2-hour sunset sail, but jumping on that little Hobie, getting all wet and kicking it and putting your cooler on the back is pretty funny and a great experience. And if you get no wind, they'll come chase. They'll send out a chase boat to come bring you back in. But I think that's pretty fun.
And I guess people will, when they do like that, when they take the charters out, is to find out if they get seasick.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
that can be a problem.
We've got a long discussion about that, but usually seasick, if you can ride in the front of a car without having to have to drive, you're not going to get seasick on a sailing vessel unless the water is really rough. And so as long as you know that, if you can ride and not have to drive, you're going to be able to sail.
And we talk about inside and outside, inside the barrier island, outside the barrier island. Sometimes that can be night and day. And usually, usually you're not going to get sick on the inside.
Yeah. But it really has a lot to do with the way a sailboat is designed to make use of the elements. It doesn't fight the elements. So because of that, as long as you kind of keep your feet, your eyes, and your ears kind of in tune with the vessel, and the vessel moves differently than a powerboat. And because of that, it's easier for you to control how you feel.
Yeah. And if you stay up on deck or take the helm.
I was just going to say, it's
taking the helm.
If you're in charge of the boat.
Yes.
And if you're inside and you start to feel a little, you need to come outside.
Or you look at your phone the whole time, you're going to be sick.
No.
Staying hydrated is also really key.
Yeah.
Keeping fluids in your body good makes the equilibrium stay.
Or you can do like our daughter Lily and make sure you go to the leeward side and blow chunks and come back and take the helm.
That was an amazing moment though, because she said, we were in terrible weather on the Gulf, right? And I'm madly trying to find us a window to get in or whatever. And she said, Mom, hold the wheel. And I grabbed the wheel. She goes, takes care of herself, hops back to the wheel. And I was like,
Oh, good for
that is
her.
my
She's
girl.
tough.
That's my girl.
Yes.
Right there. Yeah. I was very
Yeah.
proud.
Full disclosure with me, if I haven't been on the boat in a while and mostly I start to feel it like inside the boat and it's really rough outside, even
Exactly.
tied up.
Right.
And I'm on my computer and I'm like, mm-mm.
That's right. You're not being a part of the
And-
boat right then.
Yeah.
You know, you're fighting.
but over time as it gets better, you know,
Right.
even that. But and you know, sometimes I'll feel it, or if the seas are like quartering
That's
quartering
the-
seas, that's
Mhm.
not pleasant. Like you're making a crossing and it's just
Yeah.
and I'm not opposed to taking ahead of time. She says, thanks, Dad. I'm not opposed to keeping the Dramamine on board, you know,
Well,
whatever
when
it
you're by
takes,
yourself, you should, right? You got to
Yeah.
take care of it because who else is going to do that?
I'll get ahead of it. If it's going to be rough, I'll just go ahead and take one and I'm good, you know.
Staying ahead of
And-
it's good.
Staying hydrated, even when you take that, is key. So drinking
Right.
enough water is really important. Yeah.
And so I don't have to, like, if I'm by myself, you know, I don't read because that can lead to not feeling great. I listen to a lot of Audible books.
I love that. Me too.
And that way you're fully aware of everything around you, but you have that nice, I like the storytelling. I like listening to books about where I am.
Yeah.
Like boat sailing stuff. Wherever I am on the west coast of Florida, I'm listening to stuff about there, like fiction or whatever.
I have
That's funny.
those bone ones, those shock ones, so that your ears are open. You know what I'm talking about? Oh, you got them. Aren't they fantastic? Because you can still hear the waves and everything. Yeah, those are the
And
best.
you can hear somebody honking at you, or you know, you can hear someone
Your
yelling,
husband
"Get out of the
yelling.
way!" Or
Yelling, we're anchoring. What are you doing?
yeah, get the hell out of here.
That's right. That's right.
And it's good for when you're riding a bike too, so you can hear somebody, you know, coming up behind you.
Yeah, they're outstanding.
Right.
Yeah, you're learning all kinds of tips here on the Salty Podcast. So like, I talked to you guys about a question that I got, and it was from Taryn Fabre, I think. It's from Louisiana, so I think that's French. Hope I said it right. Hello, my name is Taryn. I'm from Houma, Louisiana, and been subscribed to your channel for quite a few years now. And maybe I missed it if you did anything on lightning. If not, it would be great if you could. And if you know someone that knows all how to protect it or not. Thanks. It's very small. Like it's hard to read. But we talked about this, and you don't claim to be the expert on how to protect the boat, but you do have some experience.
Yes.
That I was hoping you would share.
Quite a bit, but
I was on a boat that was struck by lightning, and you didn't feel, it wasn't like the hair stood up in your arms or anything like that. You couldn't feel anything. We knew it had been struck because the instruments went out. We had subsequent electrical problems, and it melted the VHF antenna off the boat. Yeah, but we had another boat that was at anchor down by near McRae that got struck, and
that was a direct hit.
He had his family on board, and the strange thing about that one was that it blew up the bilge pump, and it blew the cabin soul up in the air. And he had his dog on board, blew his dog up in the air.
His wife had to catch the dog.
They caught the dog, and everything on the end of a wire basically was ruined on that boat.
So the first thing he did is he called Rick, and he goes, "Hey," and we're like, "Are you sinking?" Because
but it didn't blow any holes in the boat.
Holes, so.
Didn't, like we were telling you about Rick Zern and how it blew out the transducer.
Rick Zern rigging.
Yeah,
right. It blew out the transducers in his boat. Lightning did, but it didn't put any holes in that boat. So I don't know. I don't grab the shrouds or the backstay. I don't grab the standing rigging when it's popping out there, but we've never had any problems from it, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of nice in a marina if you're not the tallest.
Never had any injuries.
Yeah, you're gonna be the tallest mast around. There's some setting like that. But
I like to use the autopilot because I don't like to use the wheel. I like to hold the wheel
if there's a storm,
or I let go of the wheel periodically.
Yeah.
That's a joke.
That's for Ben.
In case we get struck.
Is on there.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to ask Rick, like we talked about, I'm going to ask Rick to come on and maybe talk a little bit about lightning
systems in boats. I just don't know how effective they are.
Yeah, because I think in order for the grounding stuff to work, the boat has to get hit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the question is are you inviting the hit, or are you adding to the hit? Or even if it's come in and dissipates, it still has to come down the mast and the shrouds before it leaves. So I don't know.
But
Well,
that's the most
I was
experience.
crossing the Gulf, and out of nowhere, in the middle of the night, I was going from Clearwater to Destin, and I got to about a little south of Apalachicola, and a storm moved in, and there was vertical lightning.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was looking at it, and I was like, I don't think I should go in there, you know. And I was gonna wait it out, and I just pulled the throttle back and brought the sails in, and all of a sudden it got really rough. I mean, just like that, the Gulf just got real messy.
Real agitated.
And
Yeah.
it's really amazing because there was no rain. It was just all of a sudden, and it's just part of the atmosphere I don't really understand. All of a sudden, and so then I could see that it was moving towards me because I have weather. What am I trying to say? Weather XM on my
Excellent.
plotter.
Excellent. Yeah.
So I could see it moving towards me, and I was like, great. So I turned around and started heading back. I was really mad because I was 12 hours in. You know, I was like, ah. And then there was no relaxing. I had to, you know, it was really rough. And it was pretty much chasing me. And I had this, instead of going back to Clearwater, and my husband woke up in the middle of the night and checked my InReach Explorer, and he goes, "You're going the wrong way." I'm like, yeah, I know. And some other one of my friends said, "Are you okay? Are you asleep? You're going the wrong way." And there was nothing I could do. And I just didn't feel good about going in vertical lightning. I could see it hitting the water. I mean, what would you guys do?
I think you made a great choice.
Well, we went through a storm like that off Tampa one time when we were moving
Twisted
catamaran for Captain Bruce.
Captain Bruce.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever been on one of the Twisteds.
Yeah.
But we moved both of those.
Did you ever meet Captain Bruce?
And Vicky?
I don't think so.
He talked to us for years.
It ran the
I don't
marina.
think so.
Yeah, he was a dock master at Sabine. Yeah, we
well, I may have met him because I rented a slip there or something. But
yes.
Yeah, you didn't chat with him.
Storms rolled off of Tampa out into the Gulf, and the lightning was hitting the water, and it was very uncomfortable. But we just kept going.
Well,
you went through it.
Yeah, we could either go deeper in the Gulf because it was more on shore than it was in the Gulf. So, but we went through. The joke was Rick was like, stand on this hole with me because if this thing parts in the middle, because it was like, Cat, we want to be on the same hole.
When lightning cleaved the thing in half, I was trying to figure out which hole to go with.
Do we want to stay with this side?
I love it. Well, so Taryn is watching. He had sent me this question over email, but he is watching. So he says, just hear the stories about holes being blown in the boat. And some people put in these grounding systems, just wondering if a lot of boats have this or not. And we can't really say.
It's not common, and you can spend a lot of money putting one in. I believe you can ask Rick Zern about that, but how effective they are, I don't know. I really don't know.
We think it is really important to make sure there's these things called zincs, which are like sacrificial metal.
Yeah,
and those are ridiculously important because the time that you get the most electricity issues are stray from marinas and moorings. So keeping the news up to date and your own systems. Those are very important.
We've been at anchor though in Pensacola Bay, for example, and in a pretty nasty thunderstorms that we anchored there to ride out the storms. Mm-hmm. And it's a really uncomfortable feeling knowing you're the tallest thing in town.
The power boats are always excited when they see a sailor come in.
You're the zinc, right?
Yeah.
And the
I got struck out there. The time I got struck, I was underway. So
Okay. Yeah. So you've got a zinc on the prop. You've got zincs in the engine. Where else?
And your generator too. Your generator should have one.
Okay. Yeah. He says thanks. And Taryn, we'll try to get this question answered further and see what.
Because Zern, since he had to deal with it, he probably has made a very strong decision about what.
I feel certain that he knows. He's been around forever.
Yeah, yes.
You should have seen them pull that boat out of the water when it sunk. We knew about it for about an hour, and and all of a sudden there was a gazillion people there with these bags that were blowing up to push it back out of the water. Zern knows everybody. was amazing.
He knows everybody. So
that boat was back out
they
of the
pumped
water.
that boat out and nothing flat.
It was,
You know, I was on my boat in Sally, and I was texting him and said, I need to get you, I need to be on your list. Because I could see I broke, like something cut through my rigging. And he goes, all right. And then he was like, I go, okay. He was stuck where he was, like he was on, he lives Gulf Breeze?
Yeah.
Is it Gulf Breeze?
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm stuck. I can't, I can't do anything right now. But I knew he was going to have a big list.
Well, after Sally, we sent him a note going, the good news, you don't need to come to us because all of ours are gone. We lost them all. We're not.
You were texting him too, weren't you?
Yeah.
He's like the guy around here.
Yeah, he is the guy.
What's going to happen when he retires?
I don't know. He's the only rigger I know of. Fortunately, he's very good.
He's really good. And then Sure Sails, that's like the only sail loft I know for I don't know how far,
Yeah, the other guys I use, because I go down, West Coast of Florida all the time, is yacht riggers. I had them on. They do everything. Like they did all of that stuff that you see on my boat. The solar, the wind generator, the radar, the arch. They put all that stuff in. My lithium batteries and all that stuff. They do. Well, they're yacht riggers, but they've grown into doing everything.
Right.
So. We're trying to decide on the old lithium batteries. We're trying to make a big decision soon. But.
Have you been happy with?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. At first, it wasn't quite like I needed the charger that was coming for the alternator. The whole setup with the alternator charging wasn't set up right, and I upgraded the alternator, and I needed a charger. And I'm not smart enough to remember what it was. That finally got that installed, and now. It gets charged really well by the engine, but also we have the solar and I have the wind generator, and I'm happy with it. Like I just spent 2 days at anchor this weekend, and but when I have something done to the boat, I'll just go out and anchor out at Fort McRae for a few days and just turn everything on.
It's a good spot to make sure things work. It's a good one.
Yeah, you kind of do that before you go head off down towards the Keys or something. But I've learned how to power my manage my power. So I do want to show the classes. We haven't really shown that. So, all right. So we got the 2024 single classes. We have the ASA 101. We have ASA 103 and 104. Those are all offered individually. So we got 101 is 3 days, and 103 3 days, and 104 4 days. And you just click on these links here and on their website, ecsailing.com.
Right.
And you can register.
And our pricing is for 2 students, but it's you and who you choose to take your class with you.
Right. They're private classes. So $2,200 for 2 people for 3 days, and it is live aboard, right?
That's right.
Yes.
We welcome you the night before your classes begin, so you can settle in on that boat and get comfortable. And we find that that's the greatest time for you to open up your books and study. It's the night before your classes begin, and you have.
Oh, that is so cool. The atmosphere is right.
We provide linens and towels.
Yeah, we put linens. We ship
the
books out early to you, so you can study before you get there. And we put all the linens on board you could need and get you settled in. And I've got every cooking device that you need, not what you don't need, on there. And,
right.
That way you.
And then the 103 is $2,400 for 2 people, 3 days, and 104 $3,200 for 2 for 4 days. And then we've got the combined classes.
That's right.
So you want to, it's 101 and 103, $3,200 for 2 days, for 2 people for 4 days.
Yeah, I think we teach the 101, 103 as well, probably the most class we teach, and then the second most class is the 104. We teach less of the individual classes.
Right.
Okay. That's the way I took it. 101 and 103 together, and then 104.
I think those are. I think that's a powerful combination.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
And those are good.
And the way the classes are set up is that there's knowledge, things that you need to know, and there's also skills, which are, I call them practical requirements, things that we need to teach you how to do, like the points of sail and what to do is both helmsman and crew, those types of
Man
things.
overboard and figure eights.
But there's a link here to the ASA's website where they have all that stuff laid out.
Yeah, if you click on the books, it takes you to the explanations on the one. And then you've got this power combination here if you want to cram everything in 7 days.
Yeah. Some people have to do that because they've made a commitment, and but or they have a lot of experience already. And in order to get this thing called the International Proficiency Certificate, you have to have documented training, and you need that IPC to sail in like Greece or Ukraine, like Croatia. All those places require these international certifications. And so that taking that 101, 103, 104, you can then get the International Proficiency Certificate, which is like a little passport.
And then where do you send people they want to go next level captain's license?
Ralph.
We love Ralph. He teaches both online and in classroom. And I think he'll probably tell you this, a good portion of people start online and end up in the classroom. So when I was in the class, there were people that had started, and there they were. They had started online. I think the chart plotting is so important to have that in person. People ask us with all this digital stuff, why do I still need to learn that? And it's like, you seriously cannot understand the digital stuff unless you actually see how the paper works. It just makes you much more cognizant of what that digital thing is trying to tell you.
And I'll take it a step further. I had a guy on talking about the celestial navigation. Did you see that one?
Yeah, and I took the class from him. Lily and I took that class.
He's the guy.
Yeah. And his book is fantastic. We took it at PYC.
Yeah. Is he Gulf Breeze? He's in Gulf Breeze?
I don't know. Where is he? I think he traveled. I think I can't remember.
He's close by. And Ralph is the one. He said, "Hey, you might want to interview this guy." And so he told some stories how the celestial navigation saved some people.
He's fantastic. One of the most important things he taught me is that I don't have to shoot every star. I can shoot the biggest one once a day. I can shoot the sun.
Yeah, and he said that. Like if you're in really rough waters, and it's hard to. So I
thought that was really cool. And then he also made sure we knew that you don't have to have the most expensive sextant. You just have to have the one that you can tune yourself. And so that's why we have a good sextant. But
we talked about that too. Yeah, you should watch the podcast.
That's what I learned from his class. I recommend his class. I thought he was really good. I thought he was a good teacher. So. And
if you're watching this, please like the video. We need that. We need it for the algorithms. And Tim, my client, said, "Thank you guys. See you soon." So I think he'll be a good client for you.
He lives in a great sailing spot, Perdido Bay, right there. That's gonna be fun. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, and it was always his dream. He's from North Alabama. It was always his dream to move to the beach, and so we talked about that, about how to make that happen. And real estate wise, and he's here, and I think he'd be a great student. I don't think his wife would do it though.
She could be one of those who rides in the class. And
I don't even know if she'd do that, but I think his son would.
So what's fun is we have a lot of father-son or father-daughters who take it.
How old is his son?
He's about 20, 21.
Yeah, they could take it together.
Very athletic.
And she could come and go. She could come for part of the sail or whatever. But finally, it's important for if he wants to sail as for fun, getting her comfortable may mean that he gets to sail more often. So
that's true. That's true. I meet a lot of guys in all these marinas I go to, and they're always like by themselves, and they go, "Wish I could find a woman to sail with me." And my husband's at home, and I go, "I understand.
I'm right here." Yeah.
But there's just like a lot of women who are just, I don't get it. I've always been,
my favorite.
I don't like camping. They don't like camp.
My favorite.
I've always liked camping.
I love watching the women dropping the anchor in their bikinis, doing that nasty, nasty work because they don't want to take the helm. I'm like, what are you, crazy? He's back there at the helm doing nothing, drinking a beer while you're dropping that disgusting anchor. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so it's important, I think, to come take these classes, because then each of them, the husband and the wife, both see each other being successful. And then they also learn how to talk to each other to make a decision. So being in class together instead of just one of them taking it allows them to remind each other when things are important, what to consider.
Well, you guys teach them how to work together.
Well, because they chose each. I would say this. You chose each other for a reason. You got here because you could talk about complex things before you got here.
That's a good point.
I mean, you chose each other. So now let's just talk about a new topic.
And what Scott and I started doing, like I anchor by myself. I've got, the controls from the helm and everything. I have to go up there and kind of tip it over first, and then I can control it. But when we're together, we started, because he tended to yell. And then I'm like, we cannot make a scene in the anchorage. No scenes.
That's bad.
So we started getting on our headsets. We both have these, and so we could talk quietly. he's up there and I'm at the helm.
We use hand signals.
Yeah, but I've always said that would be brilliant. Headsets would be brilliant.
Yeah, well, we just use our phones. I just call him, and we've got our headsets on.
Yeah.
And sometimes he'll still yell. I go, I can hear you. You don't need
to. My husband likes to talk into his hand when he's up on the bow. And no idea. And then talking into the wind does not work.
Couples are so hilarious, aren't they? I mean, including me and my husband. But yeah, so it's interesting how you work things out when you're a couple on a boat.
It is, and it's nice for everybody to learn as much as possible, but it's also really nice to respect each other's skills and knowledge so that you can divide and conquer. Right. You don't have to do everything every time, but if push came to shove, you need to understand how things work in order to make it easier on whoever you're sailing with. But
I want to make one last point before we go. We've been on here for just over an hour, so that's perfect. But I read BYOB, Caribbean island hopping, before that was some of my initial research before I took lessons or anything. And that book talks about usually it's the guy that's the captain. I'm the captain. My husband's the first mate, and he's man enough to do that. Is what I always say. He's man enough to be the first mate.
That's right.
But usually the woman comes on there and she gets barked at. She doesn't know what's going on, and it's not fun. So the book recommends that the woman go and get her own instructor and learn on her own.
Right.
We don't like that in one way. I like for them to see each other.
Like, it's like, say that he has a lot of experience and she's new.
We don't care. We like them both to be on board, and we will ask the person who's more experienced to not instruct, because that's why you hired us. Let us teach.
Okay, that's good. I like that. I like that. You kind of whip them into shape.
We think it's, but it's important. We think it's important that experienced person see the inexperienced person be successful. Yeah. Because if you leave us and they didn't see that, they will never believe they can do it. That is really important, that they see each other.
And also, they probably need your feedback. Say, "Hey, you're being scary."
Yeah. Well,
also, yelling at her.
Also, what Rick mentioned first, but I experienced it as well, is that we feel like women at the helm pretty damn strong. Like women are more accustomed to taking in a lot of information at once, and so they tend to be really good at the helm. And listening. So making sure those women are not afraid to take it is very important, because chances are they're pretty good at it. So.
Well, I saw a couple. I think it was like a huge trawler coming in at Gulfport, Florida. Down, and the woman came in and was like a boss. She came in and he was working the lines, and I said afterwards, cool, that's the way my husband and I are. What's going on there?
Yeah.
And they said, he goes, I'm in charge when we're out, and she's in charge when we're coming in and out. I was like, they worked it out. I like it.
Right.
It's great.
That's good.
That's great. I mean, grabbing lines and having long arms and all that, sometimes that's the right spot for the man to be, because sometimes you need to be able to reach and grab stuff. So.
Well, I like it when I'm coming in. I can come in by myself, but if it's windy, of course, it's ideal if he's on board. He's not going to fall off. He's like a billy goat, is what I tell him. and he can jump off the boat, and I trust him more than anybody else to keep me off that dock when it's windy, and also when I'm leaving. So that works for us, but I can pivot that boat like a boss. Okay. I can put it in reverse and pivot and get in a tight spot. I have to say I'm a boss with that.
And we tip our hat to you, because that's a tough boat to do it on. So good for you. Good for you.
But just you do it so many times, you start to say, "Oh yeah, that worked great." It feels good. My husband's commenting from out there. He heard me saying something about it. What did you say, Scott? He says I do that pretty good. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and end it there. Thank you so much for coming on. And
thank you.
Yeah, this was really fun. Thanks for listening to our stories.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh, gosh, I could do this all day. So let's put the info up there. So there's your website, ecsailing.com, and the email is info@ecsailing.com. If you have any questions, you can register right on the website. These guys are great. I have personal experience. Salty Abandon approved. I went there before there was a Salty Abandon. I guess there is one question, and you can go ahead and sing my praises if you want. Do you have any success stories from students?
Like we said earlier, you are a gold star.
That's right.
Yeah. We do have people all around the world who send us pictures from where they are. Like they'll be standing these crazy places that we've never been. And
that's got to be gratifying.
It really is. It really is. And we do have people who came and took classes with us when their kids were little, and they'll send pictures of us with them all as adults sailing somewhere. And I think,
oh my gosh,
that also is really, that's rewarding.
That's got to be a good feeling. So Taryn says, enjoy the podcast. Great job and very informative. And with that, the way I like to end my podcast, let me find my outro, is to say thank you and Salty Abandon out.